Good evening, free enterprise fans, and welcome to another Highway to the Threemus Zone race. We have for D-Mist group tonight, Min versus Mageius1. My name's Vitasia. I'm joined tonight in the booth by PK4787. PK, how we doing tonight, man?
I am thrilled to be here. As you mentioned, yet another free enterprise race going on tonight. And taking a look over these objectives, and this could be a quick one, or, this is our Asuka 424. Gambit is doing the tracking, but I was focusing on Asuka because they've been developing a little bit of a reputation for rolling some very interesting seeds recently.
Absolutely. And if we look at these seeds, they look relatively friendly at the surface. They're all kind of key item hunts. We have to unlock the past door, which we kind of want to do at the very end anyway. Drop the magma key, which we kind of want to do anyway. And then unlock the sealed cave, which, is just a normal key item hunt, but something that doesn't require any extra effort other than just finding the key item. So, in addition to, the forging the sword, which requires the two key items, this could be a very, very jetty seed. It could be very fast, or, we could be scratching our head while we're searching all over the place for something buried in some rabbit hole somewhere. We don't know.
Yeah, none of these three require actually completing a dungeon, but as you said, they're all things you don't mind doing, but you might end up one of those situations where you have a hook route and the magma key is hidden up on the moon. You might have the darkness crystal and able to walk to Zeromus, but you might not be able to open the past door. So this could be real quick, or this could be just another brutal seed where the first person up on the moon checking some tough bosses could be rewarded. Who knows?
And then we also have a Cecil start. Cecil's become a bit of a meme through this Threemus Zone tournament. It feels like, we'll either be flooded with Cecils and no weapons, or we'll find like 8 crystal swords and not a Cecil in sight, or we'll have a Cecil and ditch him and then get his weaponry. He's never fully online. It feels like he takes effort, and he's just become his own weird symbol of everything that is Threemus Zone.
Yeah, you're always gambling with the Cecil. I've been on record as saying this, and it's come true in pretty much every seed, in that there is a crystal sword somewhere in this seed. The question is, are you going to have Cecil sitting there being your agility anchor all the way through, hoping that you find it, or, are you going to stick with something that's a little more tried and true, a little easier to control for the duration of the seed? Because with this Wildish, with all the trap chests, with all the key item checks, you could very well be rewarded, but you're also you could have a real tough hook route and no way to slow Cecil down, and then all of a sudden you're wishing you had just about anybody else.
Absolutely. And that we'll see exactly how this unfolds. This is one of those setups, and I'm really hoping for a great race for both of these runners. Min, of course, this is Min's last race, do or die. One win, one loss. A win puts Min into the magma route, which is a little bit easier route in order to get into the stages. At least theoretically, it's also filled with a lot of great competitors. Mageius, though, this is their first match, so still hope for getting into tables automatically if they can win straight out. Tella and a D-Mist opening with a pan. Okay.
So that's a key item check, handing you another 2 key item checks and setting you off into the world.
So here's always a question that I like to ask. Early pan, does that dissuade you from trying to do Fabul Gauntlet early, hoping that you can find a magma key or find the hook somewhere so you can just end up finding a way underground, bonk yang, and then you can get all 3 of the Fabul checks at the same time? Or do you nah, I'm going to bite the bullet. I know I'm going to have to do it anyway?
This is, I mean, this is sort of team ordeals right now. We have a lot of character checks coming up, but with these early free edges potentially being out there in that seed, if I can find an edge, I very well might at least save the Fabul defense for last, because that edge means, Baron in and the Ordeals fight are going to be a lot simpler. And speaking of
Yeah.
edges on both screens,
Edges, and even a betrayal on one side. So very heavy melee team so far. Plus Attila. I always early Tella is just fantastic as far as I'm concerned, and I think Tella has kind of his image has found new light in this tournament as well.
Ella's base spells include Exit and Blink, both of which are very pivotal for these early checks. Antlion Cave, it allows you to not pass go. You can just leave once you've seen that key item. And Blink is going to, particularly combined with someone like Edge, is going to make pretty much quick work of any of the bosses on the overworld. And once you get through Ordeals, you get that whole suite of spells. He doesn't have much MP, and he doesn't do all that much damage, but he's pretty decent to keep around for grind reasons too.
Yeah, as soon as he gets up on Ordeals and he unlocks the weak spell, that just means as soon as we have the Darkness Crystal, the Demus grind really unlocks and becomes really pretty viable and powerful at that point in time. You just load up on some ethers and call it good. Um, Meanwhile, Min ends up go ahead and is also going to be clearing out this cave. There is a moon veil available in one of those first early chests, and the world's most useless Stardust Rod given to our old man.
Well, you can use the Stardust Rod as an item. It'll throw Stardust out. It's okay for a hot second, but there was also a long sword and a defense sword in the basement treasure room there as well. So that cane is going to, maybe not immediately, but after a few levels, that's some real good damage there as well.
Now, something to note here: Min is finding a ninja shirt relatively early, already with double edges, and he found a ninja shirt. Now, Mageius did not dive into the deeper caverns of the Watery Pass, so anything that Min finds here, if it ends up being some extra equipment for his melee fighters, could make quite a bit of difference as he moves on. This is a higher ranked spot in terms of the likelihood of finding good items in the T Wildish setting.
Yeah, you definitely are trading off time invested for that potential gear, but that is to be said for any race in this seed. You can pull almost anything out of this Watery Pass, and the right item is certainly worth taking that time. That ninja shirt is going to mean Edge is even less likely to have an issue for basically the duration of the seed at this point.
Plus, we have a Zeus Gauntlet, a Poison Axe for Sid, which we know is going to be right there if we decide to take him. The Ninja Shirt is something that is great for Edge, and we have two edges. But I think more importantly than that, it opens up an extra black belt for Arcane, which really helps getting other melee fighters going. They can't equip the ninja, but hey, that black belt's pretty universal.
Yeah, pretty much anyone can put the black belt on and benefit from that +5 strength. And it looks like Min is ready to also go into Antlion, maybe skipping out on, it looks like, that defense sword. But if I have two edges, I am less concerned with anyone else at this point. I'm just going.
Yeah, Min's got to be feeling pretty good about the party setup right now. For melee, I mean, we might have a Quint strat. I'm not saying there's going to be a Quint strat. I'm just saying he's set up very well for a Quint strat right now. But in the meantime, Min diving. Min is skipping quite a few treasure chests here in the Antlion Cave, at least so far. Going back for those others. Magus is getting everything equipped right now before diving in to take on the Antlion.
Yeah, I mean, when I run these, if I have 2 edges and I have someone casting exit, I will periodically go into the antlion cave. I know I typically refuse out of just pure childish reasons at this point, but this boss should not prove to be any sort of difficulty. And I'll just go straight in. I don't typically take the save here, but there are some opportunities, and there was a Thunderclaw brought up in chat. No selling the Thunderclaw. This is right off the gate.
Meanwhile, Octomum at the Antlion Cave. This is a not bad spot for Octomum. You know, all things said, you're already stacked with the party. Double edges over on mid side, even with a single edge and a Sid, no problem whatsoever. And we're lining up perfectly, mirror sides, and Book.
So that is one path underground. It doesn't necessarily mean we aren't going to find that required magma key in these overworld checks, but it does also mean that if they do happen to be somewhere like ordeals, you can run across any boss because there is no longer one singular path underground that you're looking for. But I'm excited for a hook route.
Yeah, especially with this party setup. This is not the worst party setup ever to do hook route. You might be hoping for another magic user, but I'm doing pretty well. Golbez up on Mount Hobbs. I didn't see if he was what he was guarding, but regardless, I don't think we care. And meanwhile, Bay is found. Rosa.
That is a sight for sore eyes right there. Getting rid of the Cecil, which with this party, I would be in agreement as to that being the right choice. You got Tella as an anchor. You got your white mage now. You have 2 edges in a cane. So I don't know if there are any more characters I'm even looking for.
You know, probably not. If I had the defense sword that Mageius had, I would probably feel more comfortable ditching Cecil for Kane because I'm like, okay, I have a defense sword. I'm fine. That's plenty good, and Kane can equip it. Otherwise, you know, with the equipment that Min has, Pally Cecil is looking just as good as Kane, and he's going to be online. Yes, the anchoring is an issue, and if you just don't want to worry about the anchoring, I can see it. I'm thinking long term though myself.
Well, there will be a crystal sword somewhere, whether they find it or not. There will be a crystal sword somewhere. I would say with that hook in hand, the Paladin Cecil starts to look a little less appealing, just depending on who might be guarding that path. And there's that Wyvern.
That is the single rudest spot Wyvern could possibly be, but we got at least a couple Star Veils off. Wow.
Well, this you would think that this is the rudest spot for Wyvern, but it is actually the board, our creator of this randomizer, changed Wyvern's speed and script for the back attack spot. So rather than it being just a guaranteed mega nuke, regardless of who you have anchoring, you do get this bonus time. And with the speed of this spot, actually, you want your fastest character in the middle. So fortunate to get through, but this does mean that this could be the magma key up here too.
It could, and if it is, that means the intended route was to go underground. We just happened to bypass the intended route, do a little bit of skipping. I like this play for Min. Mageius is over here doing the Fabul Gauntlet. White Lance. All right.
Well, defense sword would be nice. I'm not going to lose too much sleep if my alternative is a white spear. And speaking of gauntlets, we have the Fabul defense on one screen and the alt Fabul gauntlet up on ordeals, gating those telespells.
I mean, that's not exactly something that you wanted to see when you do this. It's not fantastic, but at this point in the race, you have Tello, Rosa, and Kane who need some experience. And by the way, whenever the gauntlet shows up in a spot that doesn't normally award experience, like here in Ordeals, the very last spot, or in like the King Queen Evelyn spot, it will award experience for the subsequent battles as you're going through. So that it makes it a little bit easier to level up for those lower level characters.
Yeah, and these bosses are primarily weak to fire, and this edge with the flame is going to serve them plenty of fire. So some bonus XP, and with that edge in your party, not anything you're going to have to be overly concerned about being able to get through. These Liliths actually, for early game, give some of the greater XP until you can make it down into that hook route. So overall, not the worst place to have to run into this fight.
No, absolutely not. Just pretty decent, all things said. Mageius, meanwhile, did complete the football gauntlet spot. I'm not seeing any updates on his item tracker, which tells me that was actually not a great check. He is looking like he's going to Ordeals. This is also not going to be a great check, but he will get his white mage on the way up. But this is also not a key item. It's looking more and more like a hook route to go. We still have Baron in, but probably going to end up being a hook route.
All signs pointing to hook route. It was a Bahamut summon, and with the characters we've seen so far, that Bahamut summon to me is looking like a pretty hefty paycheck instead of a summonable angry dragon. So no value as far as progression, maybe some money, maybe they hang on to that if they see Iridia. But for me, I am looking for Mageius1, and I'm looking for Zerk casts, and I'm just gonna thwack the duration of this seed if this happened to be me in these runners' positions.
Yeah, I really can't fault you for that. The one downside about Min setup, we have Edge with 4 short swords. I guess we have 1 long sword at this point in time. Edge short swords early game are fine. They're perfectly fine. They're as good as any level 25 weapon that's out there, but you're really hoping for something a little bit more. Minimum long swords, hopefully some ninja swords, maybe even some Masamunes and Murasames if you can find them. But that's 4 weapons that you're trying to get online, whereas a Kane or a Cecil really only require 1, and he requires 2 to really get going. So downside having multi-edges there.
Ninja swords sell for just a brisk 66,000 gold. However, Edge can equip the Thunderclaw, so if you find 1 Thunderclaw, you're good for basically the duration of the seed, in my opinion.
Much love for the Thunderclaw.
And we will get our Baron in check as well. This, actually seeing that early demist would be something that would make me happy, because now I don't have to check the vanilla spots or the waterway, or worry that this is going to be in Luca Cave or at the package. At least we know where the demist is, even if we don't have direct access to demist yet.
Mageius takes Mega Nukes to the face. Did not get any Star Veils off. He thought he needed to attack. He might be adjusting his battle speed. Min, cast the Grimoire, and randomly Odin decides, hey, I'm going to be beneficial to you now. Jeez. And he is rewarded with a spoon. We're cooking now. We got a pan and a spoon. All right.
Yeah, every time I cast a Grimoire, I get an Odin. So there's always the chance that I actually want Odin. And it actually is just played out fine in this situation. And that spoon, I don't think we're gonna see much ado about Eddie, but you can chuck that thing for some pretty good damage if you find yourself in a pickle.
Absolutely. I might be looking at that and saying, if CPU ends up being in kind of a bad spot, or to get over a hump, even Maybe looking at Rubicante. We don't know what Rubicante is going to be there, but the party still isn't terribly level. They're not terribly well equipped. I'd be looking at tossing that spoon at Rubicon just to get through what might otherwise be a tough spot.
Yeah, the spoon is the is the spork of the game, in that it serves a great utility. Depending on where you think you might get slowed down, Pella has those bonus spells, so you have at least one Zerg caster already. But this does also mean, with just that piece of cutlery, that we do have a hook route.
Mageius stripping Cecil, getting all that money from the shadow equipment before he completely makes it disappear when he transitions.
Yeah, you don't want to leave something on. I've left curse rings on a Dark Knight Cecil, which is doubly bad because you really don't need to slow down your characters when you're going up ordeals, and you lose all of the gear that was on that Cecil when you go through. So that will be some bonus money. And you get the addition of having your Paladin Cecil ready for this fun gauntlet that you got to now go through.
Well, Mageius has that defense sword, so he could be equipping his Cecil with that defense sword and do quite a bit of damage. No White Lance, no Cane. Well, he has a White Lance, just no one to equip it. Defense sword is plenty fine for a Cecil, though.
Oh yeah, that Cecil's gonna start putting out damage real quick, and this is one of the advantages of this gauntlet here. Is typically your Cecil would transform but wouldn't get any experience. Now Cecil is going to have the advantage of gaining all of this XP, whereas otherwise you would be going into whatever your next fight is with a level 1 Cecil. Now it looks like Min got the news of the Bahamut summon. Grabs his strength ring, which is actually a nice little pickup, but we will be getting soon enough a glimpse at who is going to be potentially joining the party on that hook route, what items are going to be for sale in that shop, and most importantly, who is going to be guarding that entrance.
I mean, that's the nice thing about hook routes, right? It's that no matter what happens, everyone's probably going to be checking just in case for the overworld. If someone makes early dive, that's fine, but it's still kind of all bottlenecks around specific boss. A boss that more or less you want to have to do underleveled in order to get through, and that can really make or break some seeds. If you can get through whatever boss is there at a lower level than your other racer, especially in a 1v1 race, that really can put you over the top, for the rest of the race.
100%, and there were the upgrade swords in the Fabul armor shop as well, so we are now rocking long swords. Min at least appears to have a curse ring and a mute knife, so very well equipped for those edges and any anchoring and any of those mage type enemies that you might come up against, the bad ogres, the Magus sisters, anything like that. You're gonna be good to go here. And it looks like I saw Mageius trying to steal from that Lilith. Might be looking for one of those. There's a very cheeky way to backdoor or back row glitch any of your characters using the sneak command on a Lilith. It didn't look like we hit that, but it is an interesting little play.
While Min unlocking the wonderful hovercraft right now, we'll be almost immediately picking that back up. Did not go into the basement though. That defense sword is just going to sit there rotting. So sad.
Yeah, collecting dust. The white spear, I think, will be consolation. And those long swords. There was another long sword down there, but that at least can remain on the shelf. But as we make our way down here, this is going to be interesting. So we know that there are a few bosses that we can't see guarding the way, but from a booth perspective, Vitasia, what boss would you be most interested in having to see this team overcome?
This boss, I would love to see an antlion. We don't have. Oh, we have sirens and elixirs available in the item shop. Antlion, I would like to see at the Rubicante spot, in part because it hits like a truck there, and right now, pretty much everyone we have, their optimal thing to do is just fight, but that would really wreck the party really quick because we don't have a ton of armor right now. So it would really force you to take some time, maybe use some illusion strats, maybe use suboptimal jump commands for Kane, ninja moves for his edges. It really forces you to think about the fight because he will hit you hard and he will knock over an underleveled Rosa or Tella very quick. How about you, my friend?
Antlion at even the King Queen spot can pose some old difficulties for these teams. For me, I mean, I do love seeing Antlion, Ogopogo, anyone who deals incredibly hard physical damage. Evil Wall at either of the spots would make this a very interesting race. Because the advantage of that Cecil would be that cover, and with what we're working with, if what we end up with against here is somebody that does high physical damage, that's going to be the biggest weakness that could be exploited in these parties, or this party.
Not to tear you away from the edge of your seat. Another edge.
The triple edge, and deciding to stick with it, maybe for those exact gear reasons. It's actually, a third edge is always nice to see because you can just take that gear, throw it on Kane, and call it a day as well.
I mean, yeah, bandana and another black belt, which we already have one ninja shirt that we ended up finding. So, yeah, okay, I'll take it.
And Mageius got through. Oh, sorry. Mageius is through that, so I'm guessing we're going to see the inn, and then we'll both be on this hook route pretty soon.
Yeah, worth noting that Min actually faded a lot of the treasure chests in this back half of the Eblin Cave until they knew what character was over there. Got rid of Edge, went going, and then came back to open up all the treasure chests, including this monster in a box. Makes me think he was hunting for someone. Like, I don't think he's necessarily happy with how his party's set up right now. I think he's looking for something.
That's a definite possibility. Also, using that save room can give you, because I know I've taken a lot of wipes to the stale men, a lot of very frustrating wipes to the stale men. But after seeing they decided to take that fight, you could have been looking to slingshot a character there. You have a curse ring, so it's viable. Along with that dwarf axe they just picked up, anybody could be your anchor at this point.
All right. In the meantime, Min deciding not to open treasure chests, does not care about these mad ogres. You know what? I might go ahead and open these treasure chests. We saw sirens that were already available in Eblin Cave. Take some time, try to stop these mad ogres, and oh, by the way, you can steal from them Bacchus wines.
They are a good place to load up on Bacchus wine. I would say you can cast size on them if your Tella feels like he's in the mood to actually land spells. But Min did sell that mute dagger, which would have been a very nice thing to have for those mad ogres. So maybe just wanted the money, wanted to buy whatever it was they were purchasing. Sold the Bahamut, which makes me happy. But did you notice who the Rubicante boss was in that initial cutscene?
Yes, we have. It's not the worst boss, but it's not horrible. It's Dr. Lugay, Mr. Cutscene himself. King and Queen, meanwhile,
Some form of Mylon. Mylon Z. This could get interesting. No Fire Claw, so no ability to exploit that weakness. This is going to be a damage race, and with that edge still in the middle slot, you're going to have a real quick Mylon Z here at least.
yeah, I mean, he does punch quite hard. You saw he about one-shot Edge and his Tella, but he's able to survive a couple hits, but he's moving fast. He's punching hard at this point in time. It is a damage race. Just get through as quick as you can. This is another spot that you don't care who survives as long as you can get through, and he's through.
Yep, that White Lance is going to help out with that weakness to Holy. Unfortunately, Mylon Z is not the fastest of the super punchy bosses. Someone like Dark Imps would have actually been interesting there as well, because they'll just punch and punch and punch until you're finally on the floor. And speaking of Thunderclaw, this is another boss. 2/3 of the Mylon Z fight is you get bonus damage for using that Thunderclaw. Everyone except for the base doctor in this scene, you can hit for 4x damage. For any Thunderclaw aficionados out there who may not have been familiar. Certainly not the meanest boss you could find here, though. As long as you spread out your damage, you don't have to take that explode. You should be pretty good to get through here with this double edge and the cane.
Dr. Lugay, I must oil him. The cast heal does anyone know what that actually does? I'm just really legitimately curious.
I'm pretty sure. I know Balnab has the boss bit, which means you couldn't actually cast anything on Balnab that would cause a status ailment. I would like to think that Dr. Lugay's mind is just pretty addled at this point. When you consider the fact that if you kill Balnab first and he becomes Balnab Z, he doesn't even know what that one button does that explodes. So who knows what the doctor's thinking at this point.
So Dr. Lugay is actually just a crazy pseudo Dr. Frankenstein. That's the hot lore behind Dr. Lugay,
guys. This guy definitely has a few screws loose. His role in this whole operation never really made all that much sense to me. One thing, well, we have Sirens, so it's not a big deal, but you won't get full XP from this spot, which is sort of the final gift that Dr. Lugay leaves you with, outside of if you kill him too early, he's going to make you walk with that gas sound for a while, which no one likes.
Yeah, everyone get ready. If you have epilepsy, please make sure you turn away and do not look at the screen. I don't know if he has it turned on or not. There are some settings that people run that can make it so that things aren't flashing. Let's just prepare ourselves for it. Meanwhile, Mageius is actually looting through Eblin Castle, and he's doing work. He found crystal armor, crystal ring, power staff. He's finding some pretty decent gear all through Eblin Cave. I'm probably not entirely comfortable doing the hook route yet, but this is a great place to get levels through the chest, and also a lot of really good gear is located here.
that Cecil, particularly if Cecil's in the back row with that gear, is going to be able to tank pretty much all the damage for your entire team. The only downside, first, with that crystal armor is you can't cast Berserk, but that might be a trade-off they are willing to make for the sake of just having somebody who is just out there eating all of the physical damage for your team. Dr. Luge is putting up an okay fight here. This is one of those bosses where he takes a fair amount of damage. All you have to do, the more you wear him down, the more free he becomes. I've taken this fight. You know, the one thing that you can use is a star veil will either reflect or nullify every one of those attacks. And was that the spoon?
Yeah, Min was like, I'm done with this. And said some quick Japanese words and chucked a spoon at his face and called it good.
Oh, Min making it underground. First one through the hook bosses in just about 32 minutes. So we have a lot of options available and none of the key items that you're looking for. Where would you go first with what we're working with here, Vitasia?
You know, this is kind of an interesting setup. Here's what I'm doing. In this specific order, I'm checking Tamra for their item shop because I already have sirens. But if the coffins are there, I'm gonna get a couple more levels. Then I'm gonna do Dwarf Castle because I have a Tella that can warp me and do the warp glitch. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do my freebie in the Fey March, get that one. Then I'm gonna go smack Young in the face with the pan. I'm planning on doing all of that before I'm reevaluating what my next step is because I'm not going to have go mode by then.
That's several key item checks, but I can't disagree. There's a part of me that always wants to turn in the pan as quickly as possible just to get the disappointment of it not being anything out of the way. But I am a huge fan of Orf, and once this Tella has used up basically this warp, considering there are sirens, you might be looking to just get rid of them for just about anybody if you end up doing any more checks. So I don't mind getting Dwarf out of the way first either.
No, and it does look like we have the King and Queen of Epland as our first check. Not well, I guess it's free, isn't it? Because we have Edge.
This is gonna be pretty free. You get to see like the little tear all down the side of the two Edges' faces as their parents try to melt him with fire spells, but doesn't get too much more free than this. And this is, you know, even if there aren't coffins, this is 21,000 free experience points as well. So I don't dislike routing this in before I go down somewhere like the Fey March.
Oh, absolutely. No shop checks though. He has his sirens, but has not really done any other shopping in the underworld. Sirens available in Epland Cave. But yeah, he's going to go through here. I do want to see, I'd like to know where hourglasses are or coffins are. Those are the kind of the two other things I'm looking out for. And then I'm fine. Like everything else is good. I don't care about anything else.
I might think that some of these Zerkers could get a little thirsty throughout this seed. I mean, you do have two Zerk casters, but there's nothing better in my mind than using Bacchus to get the Zerk off and then a blink cast from your white mages. But hourglasses might have been a little handy right here.
And to Tella right in Dwarf Castle, just reminding you, it's like, hey, did you forget to bring someone to work glitch? Here you go.
And these imps, they're gonna be ferocious little guys, but I don't think they're gonna hit hard enough to do much. And I like this play too with the life glitch.
Yeah, you can pump out some great experience right now. This is a pretty high XP spot, especially when you think about how much HP is actually here. Like, it's a low HP spot, and you can get a lot of experience out of this one fight.
Yeah, if you get both life glitches off here, you're gonna get middle 30,000 experience, 31, 32,000 experience. And considering that these three dark imps are sharing about 28 to 3,100 hit points between them, that is a heck of a good amount of XP to get for, basically holding A.
Yep, Rosa already learning Cure 3, and we'll see what we have. Meanwhile, oh, what? Okay. We do have Mageius. He thought about moving down. I was like, what?
I think I've been in this situation where I get to this point and I'm like, why do I still have this Tella on my team? Like, what am I doing with this guy? I should get rid of him. It's like, oh right, the warp. That's right. That one spell I still need. I think we could see that process playing out pretty quickly.
Yeah, but this seed is really nice in that if you forget, it gives you a Tella just in case. And hey, Cecil's gonna come online for Mageius. That's actually really nice to see for Mageius at this point. A little bit behind in the straight line race, but hey, Excalibur Cecil, I'll take it. That can get you through a lot of fights.
Yeah, there are always Cecil swords somewhere if you're willing to look for them, and that was one piece of our go mode.
And the trolling from the dwarf doing his best impression of the grandma in Kaipo.
The dwarf was trying to show you how to do the vanilla 64 floor glitch. Just can't get up the stairs to go back down them, so just pacing at this point. And that's a pretty good replacement spoon for Min.
Absolutely. Looks like Min's ditching stuff, equipping everyone with what they need, samurai shields and whatnot. But hey, guess what we found? We ended up finding, of all things, coffins here in Dwarf Castle. So, yeah, I mean, I'll dip my toe in Tomra. I don't know if I'm even checking the Tomra, the chest locations to see, what occupations we have tonight. I'm checking the item shop and then I'm getting going. Like, he's set up pretty nice.
Yeah, Hourglasses and Bacchus are the only thing left, but the Sirens, seeing those underworlds, seeing those paired with the coffins are a pretty big sigh of relief for anybody as far as, okay, I got Sirens, I got coffins, I can get levels. I don't have to worry about, not being able to complete any of these underground checks. But I'm still thirsty for wine.
Meanwhile, Mageius is doing the Mad Ogres, is life glitching them. Yeah, he's not quite comfortable with the levels that he currently has, so setting himself up to do that. Meanwhile, Min is going to smack Yang with the pan. Did not check any of the Feymarch locations or Tomra. Haven't dipped our toe in there yet. Said, probably channeled his inner PK a little bit. Says, I need to get this pan out of my inventory.
And Pinktail, that's one part of the disappointment. I'm calling it. We'll see Min get a crystal sword at some point in this seed. I'm also very curious to see if one of the seed's many crystal swords is behind these Mad Ogres. This is actually interesting routing as well. You unlock the ability to go up check Sheila 1, Sheila 2, and now you're going to go just see what's going on down in the Feymarch.
I mean, if this tournament has taught me anything, it's always check your freebies. And the chest in Feymarch is absolutely free, and you do want to check the item shop as well while you're here. I'm calling it right now. We're going to have a darkness crystal on Sheila. Sheila's going to have a darkness crystal. One of the two of them is going to be darkness. And then decisions will need to be made.
That's always the thing you're going to run into. And when you have complete 3 out of 4, when you have you have these items that we have so far, Viteju, if you were to get the darkness crystal in either this free dwarf check or from those Sheila checks before you do anything else, would you level up and go moon? Would you maybe try to take the Fey March bosses? What are your thoughts on top of tower? What would be your choice here?
I don't know if I'm afraid of the moon right now. I have sirens. We still have. I want to see what the shops have in Feymarch and Tamra. If there's hourglasses, fine. I'm grabbing some hourglasses. I'm going to the moon, and I'm fine with it. Expecting to do my grind up on the moon. There's a ton of checks that you can do up there, and Min has done reasonably well in terms of getting there as quickly as you can. I might still check things like the rat tail and my other freebies that I have going. But yeah, I'm not bothering with leveling up and doing whatever these bosses are unless they're free. Mylan might be free.
Mylan wouldn't be too difficult. It would be maybe a little time consuming, but that K-Natso is certainly not gonna be so high up on my list right now.
Yeah, Kenyatsu, I'm like, no, that looks terrible to me. But our purple robe, we've already had a regular Mylon, so we know, or a Mylon Z, so we know that this guy down here in the Asura spot, yeah, it's a little bit fast, but Mylon doesn't hit terribly hard no matter what. Drains might not be great, but lit ones, I mean, even at level 30s or something, it's very doable.
Yeah, just the quantity of lit ones that won't serve really as something that's going to destroy your team, just as an incredible nuisance, would just make that check slower than maybe some of the other checks we currently have available. But also, there's another sword upgrade, and as you mentioned, we're seeing some issues with the economy of having two edges on your team. That X-Cal went, basically everything in the inventory went, and that bought 2 ninja swords, so maybe 2 more to go, or if you're lucky, you find something better somewhere else.
And our job for today is a welfare eligibility interview. Nice.
Well, that sounds, well, someone's got to do it, I guess. And I think we'll get to see if you were correct here regarding this Sheila check, as Min is headed back on up. Pastor is one of those things where I feel more comfortable diving the moon relatively early if I have the pass. But without hourglasses, eggs and coffins are going to be your best grind opportunity. That's for sure.
Well, and here's my logic, and it's, I'm looking at the flag set. And I'm saying unlock the pass door of Troya. So, okay, my opponent is probably going to stay on Earth as best he can. He's going to try to get everything so he doesn't have to waste time going up onto the moon. And to me, whenever you're in a one-on-one race, doing what your opponent doesn't do is just as important. Darkness Crystal, Sheila 1.
There it is. So you can finish your thought there now that you were correct.
No, yeah, and to me, it's doing something that you think your opponent is not going to do, that they may be uncomfortable, or you look at the flag set, they're going to prioritize probably staying on Earth. I'm going to do what they aren't going to do, because if and when I find the key items that we need, I know it's going to take them a lot longer to get to that point. I want completely different routing. I want to maximize the differences between our routing. That's how I run my races.
There are very much two schools of thought, and I think a lot of it has to do with how familiar you are with the person you're racing, how fast you think they are. If they're, if you think you win a straight up foot race, maybe you want to do the things that you think your opponent might be doing. If you are looking to gamble, maybe your goal is get up there to the moon as quickly as possible. But I think this rat and the pinktail tournament are going to be telling as to what direction we're headed after this.
Avenger for the rat tail. That means the pink tail is going to be another piece of equipment. It cannot lead to another key item. Artemis bow. But yeah, I'm looking at this right now. We are still looking for minimum 2 key items. And, we have, of all the turn-ins we've done, the only thing that's really left is going up tower without a tower key at this point in time. Yeah, I'm going to the moon. I'm going to make that early dive. Some people might gamble doing tower. It's a popular thing to do, especially with edges, because you can steal sirens from those alarms in the trap chests. Now let's go moon, Ron.
Yeah, there are 3 checks left underground. You could do the Fey March bosses if that tickled your fancy. But I would want to see that moon shop as well. I would be very intrigued. If I get hourglasses there, then you could do all sorts of different grinds on the moon without having to come back down as well if you see those bosses and you decide you need a few more levels. And that edge is rocking double ninja swords, a Zeus gauntlet. So I think my damage output is okay for the moon as long as there's not something incredibly rude.
So here's the question, and it's something that we've seen Min kind of hiccup. Remember when Min was in Eblin Cave and checked the character, then went back for the trap chests? Do you think, is there a character that could be on the moon that you say, yep, I know Min's going to take it? Is there?
For me, if I have Mageius1 and I have a Rosa, I don't know if this is what Min is looking for, but I would be perfectly comfortable potentially ditching that Tella for someone like a Sid, just so with that curse ring you could have an anchor who can also have an overwhelming amount of hit points for something like the Threemus fight, where you want somebody to be playing chemist in case things go south. But that's hard to say. Do you have someone in mind?
Sid would be tempting in order to keep that anchor. Maybe even I would be comfortable even with like a Dark Knight Cecil and kill him and keeping him dead. Like, hey, we're gonna have Dark Knight Cecil up on, and we just kind of do it because during certain grinds, Dark Knight Cecil is about as worthwhile as Tella is anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how I would play this. Honestly, in my mind, with the party that Min has, I'm in just go, kill all the things, find all the items, beat Threemus. Still no hourglasses, though, although the Bacchus would be really nice to have. Hourglasses would have really made this moon dive a little bit more free, just insofar as if you check the lunar subterranean, you can't find what you're looking for, you can always just get yourself some bonus levels. Tella's really nice with that weak spell, but without hourglasses, and I'm not sure if we've seen any mute bells, you could stymie yourself up here on the moon. I know I've done it before.
Oh, absolutely. And Min does pick up some wine, deciding to go to Value Cave Bahamut to start off with. Depending on the boss here, it's not as difficult. Volvalis.
Volvalis, super rude here. One thing to note about Val in this spot is she can take magic damage. Now, for this party, and maybe Min's looking for a black mage for maybe a Palom for magic dealing reasons. It's not very helpful that you could cast Nuke on Valvalis in this spot, but she's going to hit real hard. She's going to be very fast, so absolutely not someone I would be interested in taking on.
Meanwhile, Min looks like uses a Siren inside Cave Bahamut, and hey, look, a really early King Ryu double fight there in Bahamut Cave. That fight didn't go quite the way Min expected.
No, this is where you're really going to start seeing this mythical idea of agility coming into play, and the edge in the middle slot as opposed to that Tella means that all of the agility is being based off of Edge's relatively high agility, as opposed to Tella in the middle with that curse string would give you a lot more opportunities to be able to get those attacks in. Maybe doesn't want to put the curse string on Tella because you want those weaks to hit as well as possible, but it's a trade-off that you got to think about now. It looks like we saw the curse string go on, so might make it a little bit better here.
While Mageius is over here playing it a little bit safer. Looks like Mageius has the party setup that they want. Getting on some eggs, even using weeks on Tella in order to really get things set up. But 40 sirens, that is that's a little bit of overkill.
Certainly enough sirens. You're not going to need to steal sirens when you've got 40 of them. But I don't mind. I think, as you had mentioned, just taking some bonus levels. I'm very intrigued to see what the play is, because after taking some levels, someone like that Mylon in the Ghosts or the Ghasts, I don't know. It's been a while, but that fight might not seem nearly as difficult. So we might see some alternate routing coming up at some point here from these two runners.
And I did see, because Mageius did show us on his way into the underground, we had an interesting boss swap opportunity. We peeked the boss into the lower Babel area, and Dr. Luge is being sent to Upper Babel by Rubicon himself.
So there's some leg at the top of the tower. If that's Rubicon, if that happens to be even the elements fight, the magic damage there is quite low. So that fight would not be difficult for either of the teams we're looking at. But Min is giving a pretty good reason for why I was hesitant to want to grind on the moon without having these hourglasses. But well, to get through this first double gold dragon fight, even if only a couple characters are getting experience, it's a big gain.
4 and 5 levels, though, I don't know. Like the amount of time that Min spent grinding those levels, I mean, I would have cracked 5-6 eggs at that point in time. Like I just don't know about the cost benefit of time.
Well, I agree. I wouldn't want to grind moon without hourglasses. The coffins would actually, depending on what fights we have, there's still one free fight, I believe, that you could coffin. The guards fight, the 2 guards fight, you could get coffins off on. But you're really going to struggle to get levels off of moon siren fights without either the ability to mute bell those mages or the warlocks, or stop those dragons in their track, because they are rude.
All right, here's our moon character. We were just talking about that a little bit ago, and it is a wonderful Rosa.
Oh, Min with 1 Rosa. Is he interested in a second Rosa?
Nope, that was a pretty
Nope.
quick decision.
Guess not. Never mind. And Magei's picked up some levels, and after this warp glitch, that Cecil is going to be quite the bruiser.
Yeah, this is where you're almost starting to worry about your Cecil getting too high a level as the season progresses. If you don't, you really got to watch Cecil with his agility depending on your party comp, because he'll be your anchor regardless. We do have the vanilla agility anchoring set, so if he's there, he can kind of mess things up depending on how he's equipped and how many levels he has. Generally speaking, you're going to want to kill him off right around where he has 28 agility. That's, help me out, I think level 46-ish?
45 is 28 agility.
Yeah, 45, unless you end up with a dwarf axe or anything else that can lower his agility prior to that.
Yeah, the Cecil is very much a double-edged sword in these. But you know, I've done some of these where my other idea is agility be damned. I am just gonna beef this Cecil up, because 28 agility is nice, but once Cecil has about 3,700 hit points, unless there's some terrible moon boss, you're not gonna have too much trouble just hitting it with an Excalibur over and over again.
Oh no, and by the time Cecil gets that high, even Rosa will be able to eat an unnerved Big Bang, and at that point you're just, hey, just let the Bacchus fly and I'll heal through full Big Bang casts. Fine.
And here's our CPU fight. Maybe wishing you had that spoon and that Excal back.
Yeah, this might be kind of a rough fight. I mean, you have the attackers to do it. Tella always see, like, this is the fight that I regret hanging on to Tella, because he is just dead weight on this fight. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, Tella doesn't really have a spell that's gonna do all that much. You don't have, I mean, we haven't seen a true black mage. We haven't seen a quack kid. This is actually, if I was running table flags right now, this would be the fight I might actually be looking for, because you could farm this for a lot of XP. We are seeing a blink go up on the attacker, so we might get to see some fun strats here.
Well, he's using some Bacchus lines, which is risky. You know, you don't want them to kill off that attacker, and the CPU still has a ton of health. So we might see some Globe 99s here, killing off a couple characters, but that's the risk that Min is willing to take. And you know what? It's a bold move, Cut. Let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, I can almost guarantee we're going to see some Globe 99s come out. But one advantage of this fight is, as long as you don't take a wipe, the CPU and the attackers actually share their XP totals equally among each other. So for every set of attackers and defenders you take down, you actually get a bonus 2/3 XP. So maybe on purpose, maybe not on purpose, but if Min manages to get the correct amount of damage and not basically wipe to these Globe 99s, they're going to pick up some pretty solid experience that could really power you through the rest of the seed.
And Min was actually just trying to show off some really interesting high-level strats for the CPU, where you can still Zerk everyone, but you have a white mage cast Blink on the attacker so that all of your attacks miss. That way you're only doing damage, but you're still getting the high rolls from your Zerkers. Didn't quite work on this particular one. Got too much damage through, but I imagine gonna keep rolling at it at this point.
Yeah, ideally, well, with 3 Zerkers, you're just hoping that those blink casts numb enough of the pain to get through. But we'll see. As long as you can keep your Zerkers going, this is going to be one of the primary things, is if you can keep enough healing on everybody and get that defender back down before you lose all of that damage you've done. But we'll keep an eye out on how much XP Min ends up getting at the end of this fight, because it'll be a good amount. With 10 key items, this is basically the equivalent, if not faster, because you're getting 2 key item checks, of doing something like a D machine grind. Fortunately, that defender healing for 3,500 every single turn makes this a slightly more frustrating fight to get through, but the damage still looks pretty good.
He just had a bad roll. His Rosa that was set up to do cast life took a globe 199 to the face, so Ben decides, let's try our luck at next door. Leviathan's not a bad boss here.
Leviathan is going to be pretty free here. I don't think the Ice 2s are going to do too much, and you might actually give Tella a quick opportunity to show off something like a Lit 3 cast, which will do actual damage, as opposed to anywhere else where it just sort of fizzles and does about 800. But this is definitely more on pace with damage output and running these 3 Zerkers here.
Meanwhile, Mageius does get through that Mylan fight, only finds a Dragoon Helm. That is probably the worst reward I've ever seen in lieu of a key item. The Dragoon Helm.
You're not gonna not quite the play that or not quite the reward you wanted out of that, but was showing off, the bonus damage that you're gonna get with that Cecil. It doesn't look like they have done the Dwarf Castle warp glitch, because that Defender Sword is still on, but even with that Defender Sword, Cecil's putting out some pretty big hits. And the one bonus of not having fully completed your grind is Tella's Cure 4 will at least look like it's healing your party for some sort of minimum amount.
I mean, it's rude. Oh, Tella.
It always reminds me of those scenes in movies where they do some elaborate thing to cast a spell and then just like a little poof of smoke comes out. Like, oh, well, I thought I was expecting something more more substantial from that.
Okay, so that's something. Legend Sword. I mean, one of the key items that we were looking for, not necessarily exactly what we were looking for. Now it comes down to only 3 key items, and we only need 2 of 3 instead of, 2 of possibly 4, maybe 3 of 4. So this really puts that Forge the Sword into play if we can continue to move forward.
Yep. And coming back to the CPU, this is definitely a fight I feel like I would be taking here. This is gating 2 key items, and that Legend Sword just puts you that much closer to being in go mode. We know that the only places currently not on the moon that might have a key item would be doing the Keinatsu fight at the Leviathan spot, which is a very rude fight, or walking all the way up to that tower to destroy either that ruby or the elements. So Moon still looking like a pretty good choice so far.
I tend to agree. It's still solid. We also have the tower spot, which, if you're feeling desperate, maybe. Mageius looks like trying to find. He's got the hovercraft, probably looking for silver. Yep.
It has the two tails. Gonna get the news that it's just two more items that aren't going to progress. And I see that blink coming in again, maybe going for these Zerker strats. Maybe a little more composed version of the Zerker strats. Sometimes you might want to just have one person Zerked so that you have the ability to continue casting that blink spell. But if anyone's watched me race, you'll know that I will, as I call it, YOLO the CPU fight almost every single time I find a CPU, which is just Zerk everybody and hope that you can figure it out as it goes.
Doing good work so far, been able to keep it going. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you never want to say that part out loud. There's also the issue of if you had found, I believe they had found maybe a dwarf axe, which would allow you to back row glitch the cane. But I'm not sure if we've seen a boomerang. This is the other issue you run into is the CPU is in the back row. So the damage that you're doing is reduced until you kill off those other globes. You'll see now they're rolling 2200s. Kane is hitting for 1500, whereas it's substantially reduced before that. And I believe Mageius is now going to return the pan, which will put them on track to also have this darkness crystal. We will have to see what decisions are made. Personally, as a watcher, I like when they take separate routes just for personal information gathering purposes. But as you mentioned, I mean, there's a lot more checks on the moon right now than there are on the Earth.
Yeah, and the way my mind ends up playing it, I have, from Mageius' perspective, I have 2 checks on Earth, and I have all those checks on the moon, and I need at least 2 key items. Statistically, I'm probably going to have to go to the moon anyway. Let's just go. Let's knock it out.
Yeah, and they have some levels. I've been told by Gambit, our tracker, that they have forgone the Dwarf Castle fight with the warp glitch, which we know would lead to an X-Cal, which would certainly be helpful for these higher damage, higher hit point characters up on the moon, and there it is.
All right, now the moment of truth. Hey! Required fight, Magma Key.
And now here we are in my personal nightmare position, which is you only need one of 2 key items, and now every miss you take makes you feel just a little bit more behind than you felt before you took a fight.
Absolutely. Mageius, checking bosses, likely forgot that we already know that D-Mist is at that Beigen spot. We saw it really early as soon as we hit our timers. So now Min, on his way over, will be going to check the Masamune spot, probably hoping that it's free. I don't know if he has the levels to actually take this on unless he can finagle something special out of it.
Well, they did gain if you would notice, because they had gotten through a second set of attackers and defenders, that was 166,000 experience from that fight. Not everyone got it, but oh, there it is. That's free. There we go.
Oh yeah, I'll do this.
I'll have to see what we're looking at from a Starville perspective. Tele will at least have wall, or you might just have the damage with that ninja sword edge to burn it all the way through. But yeah, the Bahamut's counting is just not very intimidating for the most part.
No, he's certainly got enough. I would feel better if I had, for example, a maybe a Dragoon Spear cane, but White Lance that he's gonna put the Avenger Sword on, plenty
good. That Avenger Sword, yeah, that's great for Kane. It's also going to be great for the Cecil that Mageius is running with. And just this damage output, those bonus levels that some of those characters got there has just brought up that damage output nearly by about 50% from that edge. So we're getting to the point where, unless you have a boss that's really going to knock you down, your damage output is reaching, a comfortable level for fighting these moon bosses.
Bahamut goes down, 61,000 experience. Yeah, that's some levels. Okay, so there's 3 bosses left on the moon. You're going to have to go back down to Earth anyway. How many more bosses do you clear before you just go back? Because now Baron, which is 2 spots. If you're mid, you're still thinking that you have Tower and the 2 Feymarch bosses. Plus Baron. How much longer are you on the move for? 1 boss, 2 boss, full clear? What's your thoughts?
In my head right now, this was something that had been there in the back of my mind for the last few minutes, particularly after we saw what was at the ribbon spot. Was basically, we don't have the twin harp, we don't have the tower key, we don't have the earth crystal, we don't have a few things that could be gating one or potentially either of the pieces of go mode that we're looking for. I would peek this boss. I would skip that Valvalis just because I don't want to do that Valvalis. But if we can find something free...
Well, hey, let's find something free and be able to life glitch this boss. Because why not?
There we go. I'd mentioned that this was the one free fight that we hadn't seen that you would be able to use these coffins on. This is going to be a nice little boost of XP. But that Baron key opens up 2 key item checks. You only need 1 key item with 2 after this hanging on the moon. And now you have when you left, you only had 3 checks on the earth and underground and 6 checks on the moon. Now you have 6 checks on the earth and you only have 2 checks left on the moon. So the balance of where there might be value has shifted, although maybe take a save and take a peek at this boss. Those bonus levels, I mean, now you're getting less and less afraid of, taking a wipe to somebody.
Absolutely. Mageius does end up showing us what the Murasame boss is. It is Baigen, which can be not fun here. He tends to hit you a little bit hard. We we already know that Valvala is over in Value Cape Common, which is not going to be a fun boss. Min will have kind of the edge there with the cane, actually.
Yeah, jumping on Valvalis is a very double-edged decision that you have to make, because Valvalis is going to punch you an extra time or two when she's coming out of that tornado form. But I was just about to say, this could be a very mean boss, and when you sort of just walk right into it, you're not fully healed up. You don't always have your MP healed up. You're sort of peeking it, and then someone like this shows up, and all of a sudden you're like, well, maybe I'll just go check the rest of this.
Gambit in chat makes a good point. You may not jump to Valvalis at this point. You have a bunch of Zerkers who are going to be able to hit her kind of no matter what. You don't have anyone casting a whole lot of magic on her, so you don't need her to unspin per se.
Yeah, my strategy, if I were to do Valvalis in this situation, and personally I would go down to do Baron after this fight, but it would be Zerk up, and then my Rosa and my Tella would just be casting blinks on everybody, and then maybe heal if it was necessary. I would not be interested in letting Valvalis come out of tornado form. The toughest part of one of these fights, particularly Baigen in one of these spots, is that initial flurry of attacks from Baigen before you can get everybody zerked up, everybody blinked up. And Min is through that portion. Mageius, it looks like, has some zerkers going as well. So you're halfway through the woods. You still have halfway to go, but it's a little less dangerous halfway once you've gotten the arms down maybe once and everyone's back and swinging.
Chat pointing out that Mageius actually used a Moonveil on Cecil for this. So the rest of his party is weak, which means as long as you don't try to Zerk Cecil, he will automatically protect them. And with that Moonveil on, he'll dodge everything.
Yeah, and we'd seen, I am not 100% sure on Mageius' inventory. The one caveat to that will be that vampire drain attack that the arms do. But other than that, yes, this is going to make it a much more free fight. And there were 2 Moonveils in Min's inventory. If Mageius has both of those, that means a second potentially free fight. Valvalis basically free with that situation as well, because the only physical attack that would actually kill your party would be a punch, because otherwise it's just going to be weak. So a good use of that cover strat.
Meanwhile, just a white shirt. So Rosa has almost no gear, so that's the first little real piece of gear that Rosa's going to get. Nice to see, but I mean, okay, Moon wasn't completely empty. We got the Magna Key. Great. Need the Magna Key. Or would love to be able to use it. Also got the Legend Sword, so at least one of those two is going to be needed. So Moon was absolutely required in some capacity. Now what?
So game theory, if this is me running it, I'm gonna go to Baron Castle. I would skip Valvalis. Maybe we'll find out if that's the right or the wrong play. But as I said before, when you first come up to the moon, you have 6 available checks, and you probably have less than 6 on the Earth. Now you have 1 check left here on the moon that you know is going to be a slow, frustrating fight. Or you have definitely a couple very, very free checks down here. So I'm with Min in that I'm gonna start going back to clearing the Earth now that more of it's open. There's also, it's actually 3 key item checks at Baron Castle right now.
Yeah, Demas blessed us early on, was the one who gave us our first key item in the opening cutscene, so we really haven't needed to do a Demas check at all.
Oh, don't do it, Min. Don't do it, Min. I wanted to set the personal record for the longest a tracker can go before actually illuminating any of the buttons in the seed. And I think Asuka might have set a record. It is now 1:20:45, and Min has finally lit up one of the 4 objectives. So Asuka, our restreamer, phenomenal seed. Gambit, congratulations on pushing that button for an hour and 21 minutes.
Blow clap. Remember an hour and a half ago when we were looking at these objectives and going, yeah, this could be a free jet seed. You know, it could be.
Yeah, you had us going in the first 20 minutes, and then you get a hook route, and then here we are 80 minutes into the seed, and we're finally checking off an objective. So you never know with these things where we're gonna end up. But Min in a great position. This is 3 checks. Value at Demas, that Demas that you've known where they are the entirety, but now are only going to finally get to go check. So this Baron Castle could be very interesting.
With, you know, I didn't even think about the 3rd check with Demas being there, but the more I think about it, the more you're absolutely right. This is the check you want to be making. It's easily the most dense. No safety saves. Let's go ahead and get it done.
Yeah, I would be saving top with all these bonus key items that I have now. I would be saving top of tower until last, just hoping to at least have that tower key when I do it. And this is gonna offer a lot of potential value, but by no means does that mean that it's gonna be actual value. So Demas down. I think this is also the right play. You could try and go one off that throne, but on an Asuka seed, I am still waiting to see an Ogopogo show up where you least expect them. And I was kind of hoping it was going to be in that Gildim spot, because that's one that always knocks me down. But Eigen down there in the Baron basement would also be something that might catch you off guard when you haven't fully healed and just be a hot reset into a deep breath.
Gambit, unfortunately, I think we did already see Gomez up on Mount Top, if I remember correctly. So Gomez that owned it in the spot is not a possibility. Hail Dim at King Baron goes down quickly. Tella still holding up. You know what? At this point, are you thinking about maybe ditching Tella if you can for a king?
It's a curious choice. I would, at this point, I'm keeping Tella to be my agility anchor for the Zeromus fight. The people I might consider would be a Sid at this point. I mean, you have enough damage where I'm not concerned with needing someone with nuke for Zeromus or any of these upcoming fights. But Tella is perfect in that, you don't need all 5 characters to be contributing. Tella can do his own thing staring at the floor for the Zeromus fight.
He's the best floor mat ever.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, okay, going to turn in that Demas first thing. The Odin spot has the potential to be rude, so you're just one key item away. You can unlock the past door, you already have it. It's just a matter of, okay, Adamant or Luby. Earth Crystal.
Ooh. Oh, there's so many checks. I was kind of hoping. Well, I was hoping something would lead to Earth Crystal, which would lead to the Tower Key, which would lead to some form of value. But it looks like maybe knock out the throne, and then you have 2 checks in the Fey March. You have 2 checks over at Troya, or you have the top of tower. Would this be your routing here, Vitasia?
Yeah, at this point, we as an audience know that the Asura spot is nothing. Mageius has already cleared that spot out. So I don't know. For the memes, I think I'm going to Troya because those will be quickest, personally.
Yeah, I think I would route both of those checks in, particularly since they are directly next to each other. Go music, and then go through the earth. As I said, I would still be hoping to find Tower Key before I do Tower, and I would be hoping just to never have to do any of the dwarf fights, but that's just because I've been burned by taking dwarf fights so many times that I would like to avoid it at all costs. This Bomb would have been a lot ruder had we gone Baron before going up to the moon. Unfortunately for Bomb, the damage that we're putting out here is very substantial.
Absolutely, just running right over. And the key item here is Tower. Oh no. Okay, that does make the decision a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, both the 2 tower checks together are going to be about the same time as doing either Earth or music. This is, now I'm going Tower. I'm also just a big fan of Follow the Chain, and this seems to be the longest available chain, so maybe I would just go for that.
There's
and then
works.
Oh, sorry.
What about the memes? We want music, right?
Well, following the chain doesn't always lead you to anything besides the end of a chain, and then you're just standing there with a bunch of chain in your hands. But I might, if it happens to be add music, I don't know. None of these checks are great. In my mind, if I'm running this race right now, I'm like, well, I can't believe no one's done. I might as well chase the strangest one of my objectives. Also, knowing that I'm being restreamed, I might have a higher impetus to want to just go and perform the music for all the fans. We do know, top of tower is free. We've seen even someone like Wyvern in the tower key spot, you would just hold A, and that's not going to be an issue. So this is 2 quick checks. I think we can both hope that we get to play Rate That Treasury and hear Spoony B's tunes.
I don't even think Min checks the treasury. I think Min is ready to roll. Does not need any more treasure. We do have. Don't quite know if this is going to be Rubicant or if it's going to be our wonderful, wonderful friends, the 4 Fiends of Elements, Magic Sparkle friends of Fun Time.
Well, once they perform the seductive dance, the ritualistic top of tower dance, there it is. Not full leg. And Gambit pointing out that we already did see Wyvern. The one hope for something that would be memeably rude would be going down to the super cannon room with everyone at on your team below half health and running into an Ogopogo. Unless we have already seen Ogopogo, that would be the rudest thing we could come across.
Package at the top of the tower, so Worthless check there, but let's see. Glad we dodged that up to this point in time. That would have been insulting. But we do get to go down here, check the tower key, do that turn in. Won't immediately know what we have. We'll have to wait for magic to, blow up the switch. We already killed Golbez, right?
We did get Golbez, we did get Wyvern. I think we just never took the Golbez fight. It was Sid on Mount Hobbs. Oh, it could be the troll. It is.
That's a rude spot. Hi,
this is.
I'm taking half your health with me though.
This is exactly what I was describing. Is I've been in a position where I just thought, whatever, I can just run straight down here. I don't need to heal up, and then all of a sudden, I got to do it all over again. So a clever trap laid by Asuka, our restreamer. Unfortunately, not fully successful.
All right, so what are we hoping to see here? I mean, is it going to be just an item? Or are we going to see one of our two items that we're really looking for, Adamant or Luca Key?
Yeah, the next key item for Min has to be Go Mode. As Gambit, our tracker, is pointing out, we are running out of buttons to push besides the ones that are important to our runner. But we have, our Min at least has, excluding this check, if this doesn't happen to be Go Mode, they have 4 places to look for 2 key items.
Drum roll, and it is. Oh, man. I mean, yay?
Not the worst thing. Certainly not the best thing either.
I've had worse things. Yeah.
But this was my actual concern, which is why I brought it up. Was Min has not done either of the Fey March fights, so there's a 2 in 3 chance that Keinatsu now holds one of the pieces of Go Mode. But we already know that the Mylon and Friends fight is not going to be one of the pieces of Go Mode. So either Earth into Harp would be guaranteed Go Mode by process of elimination. This is the only choice that can't guarantee you Go Mode.
And the more I think about it, the more I really kind of like this play instead of doing Troya. Because if you look at the objectives themselves, we're going to have to go underground anyway to either forge the sword or unlock the sealed cave. We got to be in the underground anyway. We might as well do these underground checks. I was probably initially hesitant because we were already above ground, and I'm like, hey, let's just do Earth Crystal and Troya because that would be awesome. But since we have to come down here anyway, that kind of negates that little advantage
there. It certainly does. But we know that at least Mylon and Friends isn't going to have anything, so if Min is already maybe a little frustrated at the number of checks that they have had to do, they're gonna at least feel that frustration one more time before we see the turtle.
Since we can pretty easily predict that we know what Min is going to do next, I'm going to ask in chat. I want this to be an interactive experience, chat. What do you think that Keinatsu is going to drop for us? Will it be the Luca Key? Will it be the Adamant? Or will it be Rude? You know what? I don't care what Rude item you pick. It could be a Crystal Sword, which would be super rude. But will it be? What will it be? Luca Key, Adamant, or Rude?
In my experience, the Fey March doesn't actually have key items, so I'm with Gambit 17, our tracker, in saying Crystal Sword Apple. Another good guess. But I will say, at least Min has the levels where you should be able to just brute force, for the most part, this K Not So down. What is your guess, Vitasia?
You know, my heart wants it to be a crystal sword, but my mind says statistically, I mean, it could be. I don't know. I don't know. I'm adamant. I'm calling it adamant. I don't like it, but that's what I'm calling.
Oh, I had forgotten that we had not done the Valvalis fight. So this actually means that there's only a 1 in 4 chance that the turtle has go mode. This does mean if the turtle doesn't have go mode, either the harp or the earth crystal check will be guaranteed to have a piece of go mode.
Oh, and that was a rude wave. Wow.
Yeah, this fight is very similar to how I described the Baigen fight, which is once you have your damage going, you're typically okay. That first wave hits pretty hard, and that first punch hits pretty hard. But once you got your damage rolling, this turtle's gonna be hiding in the shell relatively quickly here.
Yep, he has one unzerked edge sitting back, ready to Thor Rage so he doesn't take another wave to the face. Asuka, I gotta call you out. This has been a fantastic scene. Thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful mess.
Yeah, we are 98 minutes into this seed, and we only have one objective button lit up out of 8.
Moment of truth here for Min. Is this an item? Oh my god.
Okay, so now you have another choice. Are you going to do music? Are you going to do earth? Or are you going to challenge Valvalis? 2 out of 3 now have to have some part of go mode. 2 out of 3 will put you in go mode. 1 of them will not put you in go mode.
Here's what I'm thinking. I am going to go do music because even though it's a cutscene, it's one boss. You're gonna have a cutscene in Earth Crystal anyway, so cutscenes are kind of all even, and I can exit out of the place super fast. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm with you there. You can take a save here. You've seen all of the rude bosses, so even if it doesn't play out, you can reset, be right here to do Earth Crystal. But looks like Min is skipping the treasury. Honestly, with all of those swords, there's really not much more to get out of the treasury.
I have a ninja swords, at least one Masamune and one Murasame, double edges. I'm fine. Not checking treasury whatsoever. You know what? I'm a little sad that we're not going to get some music. Maybe we can get some afterwards. But I tell you what, I mean, this is going to be some pretty quick fights going on right now.
Well, there is a 2 and 3 chance now that there is value here. Meanwhile, Mageius is taking out Valvalis, so we will know very soon, if music and Val are required, if Val and Earth are required, or if Earth and music have either or of the two pieces of go mode that we're looking for. Fortunately, Min has the damage to not be overly concerned about getting through any of these fights. That white shirt on Rosa means that about 2150 mark that Rosa's currently at, probably won't have to worry about surviving big bangs. So pretty well equipped to run straight into the Zeromus fight. Just the piece missing is getting your crystal.
Well, Mageius does take down Val and is rewarded with a Dragoon.
Oh.
Either one was good.
Oh, two paths diverged to Troya, and either one had to be good.
Double white mages available as our characters.
Well, in chat, get your guesses out real quick, and Vitasia, your guess as well. Is this the adamant, or is this the Luca key? Adamant or Luca key? It has to be one or the other. We've seen everywhere else in the seed. This has to be one of those two. It can't be anything else.
Sticking with adamant just because it's going to be another cutscene.
I'm with Luca Key, just because this doesn't feel like you get to deserve to forge after all of this.
We're gonna forge and we're gonna find hourglasses right there.
The Kakul shop would be nice to see, but I would like to think that in order to gain access to Kakul shop in this seed, you have to do music for your 16 out of 17.
And that's the rudest thing of all, I think, about this seed, is that it's 16 to 17. We know what the other item is going to be, but of all things, we don't get music. I'm genuinely upset.
Well, Mageius will have the same decision tree coming up relatively soon. So, fingers crossed on that one.
And it is the Luca key. I lose, you win. So we gotta go unlock the sealed cave, and then we can go do turn in pass. He might check his levels. Looks like he's going over. He might crack a couple eggs just to make sure his agility is all set up properly.
Well, you certainly have the 10 key item bonus. That's not up for debate anymore. You have the key items. You might want your Rosa to be a little safer in a position like this. And 2 eggs is probably plenty to get that done, or, however many eggs you feel are necessary. This is gonna should be a pretty straightforward Zeromus fight. If this seed was anything in missing all those checks, it at least generously gave you a few bonus ninja swords, so the damage will be good.
Oh no. Man, you actually have to unlock the sealed cave door. You don't just get the item and call it good, man.
We will allow Gambit, our tracker, to push a second button of the 1 through 4 of the 8 buttons, but might not get to push a third button for Min. We'll see if he realizes that he didn't get the crystal. Okay.
He goes, wait. Like you could feel Min deflating a little bit after that.
I have forgotten to open the Luca door and realized I didn't have the crystal after having to walk all the way down the moon to get to Zeromus. So at least this is a much less time-consuming error in remembering to open up this door.
Meanwhile, Mageius is making his way down to the basement. He does have the magma key, so he will eventually be able to drop the magma as well. We know he's on the path. It's just a matter of, eventually getting to either the Earth Crystal spot or the harp. And I believe this is where Earth Crystal was, right?
I think you're right there. I think the pass came from maybe the trash can, and I don't remember. There's been so many checks made.
Yeah, Dwarf Castle. Mageius still hasn't done Dwarf Castle at all. Has completely faded that up now. But however, PK, there's a very important question the chat is starting to ask right now. I don't know. Could you help fill us in a little bit here?
Well, it looks like they're busting out these Z flags, and I believe it's in reference to an old wooden ship built sometime during the Civil War era. It could be that, or the final boss, Zeromus, with a question mark, meaning that we have 400 plus randomized Zeromus sprites in the pool that could be generated for any of these seeds. And I think there's a question we like to ask. Patasia, do you know what that is?
I do. Hang on. I want to make sure. Whose butt are we gonna kick today?
That's right. So get the Z flags out. We are, after lighting up every single button on MIMS except for the adamant and the number 1, we have made it to Zeromus, and it is butt time.
Crystal is out. I mean, this is going to be a pretty quick fight, all things said. Try Zerker. His Rosa can eat a full Big Bang unnerved. At this point, agility doesn't matter. And what? I mean, it's pretty round, I admit it, but that's the roundest butt that we've ever had to kick that I've seen in the rando so far.
It looks like we only got one cheek tonight, and the other one is just off somewhere else. We do have a few food meme related butts in the pool, and I think that's the type of jelly this is referring to. I know we have hummus bus, but I'm not sure if Scala's around to offer the contemporary analysis on it. But either way, yeah, 4180 from the top edge. We've got good damage here. I don't know how I like Jelly's chances in this race.
Chat pointing out this is a Lufia 2 super boss. Okay. So, worth knowing. I've not played Lufia 2, so that's good to know.
Yeah, there are so many out there and so many references to so many games. I can't say I get them all, but typically Chad is always here to offer a quick explanation as to what this is. Besides the obvious, it's a piece of, it looks like a jelly loaf.
Oh, we see a Bacchus being thrown on Rosa.
Oh, will we get Quint?
We're getting Quint! Quinn, Quinn, Quinn. Zerk the old man. Yes.
Here comes the Quint. I've Zerkers versus Jellymus.
$87 damage. Oh yeah.
Hella contributing. Hella doing relative tele damage compared to what you would expect from spells as well.
He hit triple digits. Oh my god, he over leveled his tele.
Hella too strong. Hella too proud. $204. Tella, calm down, old man. You're gonna break your shoulder.
Ah, my old man here. Hey, he's doing the thing. I mean, the damage is high enough. I don't know. We might, if we get another big bang, it'll lead right into Meteo, I think.
Yeah. The damage roll on the Big Bang will make it interesting, but this damage output could tip into Meteo just before that Big Bang as well.
And now Tella is going to serve his designated role. Gotta be a little bit careful. Oh, there he goes. Yeah.
And that is the end of Jellymus. So GG to Min, first place. We'll see if we can get an official time and if Min is interested in an interview.
Yeah, Min does finish officially with a time of 1:52:03. So GG's Min. We will see if we can't grab Min for a quickie interview. Oh, Min's in chat at very least. Went for the memes.
Well, I think that bonus 700 damage Tella put out was really what prevented that Meteos phase from even happening. And Mageius is headed up the Tower of Zot, so we'll be one piece closer to go mode. I don't remember where that harp was, but I know the pass was in Dwarf according to Gambit, our tracker.
Yep, so we're going to need... I mean, if Dwarf Castle hasn't already been done, I imagine Mageius is going to do... he's all but full cleared everything else at this point in time, so I gotta think he'll but doing the Earth Crystal right now will be rewarded.
And with the Flame Dog chest, I didn't see the reward. We have not seen that crystal sword anywhere yet. And as Mageius makes their way up the Tower of Zot, one big quick shout out to our tracker, Gambit017, and our restreamer and seed roller for the evening, Asuka424. Gambit finally got to push some buttons, some of the important buttons, quite late into the seed. But did a great job of filling up all of the other everything besides the adamant on Min's side. So as far as button pushing goes, I hope Gambit has an ice bath prepared for his fingers on the tail end of this. And it does sound like we will be joined by Min shortly. But it looks like the official time was 1:52:03. So managing to clear literally everything besides the twin harp in under 2 hours. Pretty good job there from Min, our winner tonight.
Also, one last reminder to everyone: remember, we're still not through with these group stages. If you like what you saw here, go ahead and give our partner channels here, Randomania, Randomania 2, and the other Randomania channels follow. Big shout out also to our other partner channels, of course, the Enterprise channel, as well as RPG Limit Break. In the meantime, I do believe I hear Min with us.
Hello, it's me.
Well, GG. Congratulations. Moving on up to, I believe you've made it to the Magma group?
I think so. I haven't read the format document in a while, so.
I don't think anyone fully understands it. So, whenever I run one of these races, the more checks I do without finding any of the pieces of Go mode, the more nervous I get. Was that how you were feeling? Because you certainly made enough checks for about 3 seeds worth of finding Go mode.
When in this flag set, I usually start getting nervous around the hour 20, hour 30 mark. So seeing that it went to almost an hour 50, I have never shaken worse during a race.
And here's the thing: we were talking early on, when we first saw the flags, and we were doing the early overworld stuff. Looking at it, like, this could be a pretty quick seed if everything falls quickly. Nothing could be further from the truth, though.
That is exactly what I thought, and I was very, very wrong.
So I don't know if you heard our commentary as that 15-minute delay was going, but if for argument's sake the Earth Crystal hadn't been anything, I don't know how to phrase this, but basically you would have had Balbalis and music left. I guess you would just do music there, but just so you know, skipping that Balbalis was actually the right play.
I almost never did Bahamut Cave, so I wasn't really considering it at that point.
Oh, would have netted you a very nice Dragoon Spear had you.
Ooh, fancy. Definitely don't have Avenger White Spear already. But yeah, I don't like doing Bahamut Cave, especially not even less when there's a Valalis there. Like, I hate that boss.
Yeah, Val can actually take magic damage at that spot, but that wasn't really helpful for your team anyway.
No, I don't. My magic damage dealer was Tella, so like, not a bunch of options for magic damage there.
At what point in this seed, as you were going through, did you stop and think, "Oh, this isn't good"? Like the reality of the seed hit you. Was there a certain point?
It was at the point where I realized that I would have to full clear Moon. Because I very rarely full clear Moon. Usually I get all my gun mode items from there. And I kind of did here. Like, Baron Key led into something, I'm pretty sure. I think Baron Key led into Earth Crystal, which ended up being required because there was the demist at the Baigan spot. But like, I've never had the full clear Moon like that in one of these flags, so almost fully completing the seed was kind of wild to think about. I think the only thing I didn't find was an adamant.
Yeah, you found literally every other key item. You had a 50-50 shot in your next choice as to whether it was going to be adamant or not, because you've been everywhere else in the seed. And I have to ask, is that because I have a very similar CPU strategy? Is that your go-to? You'd already thrown the spoon, so were you just like, you know what? Here we go. Let's just circuit and see if we can get some blinks and hope we get the damage.
Yeah, it's typically what I go to. Usually, I don't get it in a spot that's that annoying. Like, I usually have CPU at some easier spot that's not nearly as bad. But when I do, when worst comes to worst, I do just zerk it and pray. So obviously, like the float quake strat, but I'm not a huge fan of that just because of how lucky you have to get.
Yeah, and you didn't really have the option for that.
No,
I don't think we
we.
saw an actual black mage in that entire seed.
Nope, there was a lot of Edge, a lot of Kane, a lot of Rosa. I'd like 2 Tellas. That was really it.
So now the important question that I have to ask, because, you know, of the 16 of 17 that you did, the one place you didn't go, by the way, just as a personal fan.
Oh boy, here it comes.
Yeah. Have you checked music? Do you know what the music was?
Probably Adamant.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. We just music was because
Yeah.
music was.
Listen, I gave you guys Quinn. Like, come on.
Oh yeah, the Quint did get me a bingo in the Freen meme bingo. But yeah, so you've made it into the magma group. There's gonna be some very stiff competition in there, but you do get a little time off.
How long is it till the magma group starts?
I believe this is the last week where you can schedule the group races, but every time I try to look at the flow chart, I go cross-eyed. And black out for 3 hours and then wake up and thought it was a bad idea. But all right, so GG. Any final thoughts on the seed?
Don't count your chickens till they hatch. Nice seeds can be evil, turn evil very quickly.
Oh, and Scala Kitty in chat is actually saying we're going to start Hook and Magma at the same time, so it'll be fun. So looking at all the pairings going to happen this Sunday. Well, at least the pairings for Magma, Gambit is saying on Sunday. So fun.
It will be fun. I'm excited. I didn't expect to make it out of the regular groups, so it's a real treat to be able to keep competing.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing more. Thanks for letting us watch and commentate that.
Of course.
Brilliant scene.
Well, my other 2 have been free, and you can't have nice things forever.
All right. Well, GG. Take care.
GG's. See ya.
And as we were watching, Mageius did manage to give Gambit the opportunity to push a button in the 1 through 4. And yes, it sounds like next week we are moving on to Swiss stages for both the Hook and the Magma group. Vitasia, you said you hadn't glanced too much at the flow chart, but around this time in the race is when I usually ask whoever I'm doing commentary with to do their best to try to explain what we're looking at for the rest of the tournament once these group stages are over. Do you want to take a swing at that?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So right now, everyone in the group stages that has gone 3-0, perfect, moves automatically onto the table stages. So that's kind of the last few rounds of the tournament. Table stages, the best of the best, the creme de la creme, the people that you absolutely want to see race because they have the technical knowledge and are able to kind of fly through everything and are playing at really the highest level of free enterprise. The people who haven't quite made the table stage, though, are divided into 2 groups. Everyone who went 2-1 will have been kind of shunted off into a magma pool stage. So it's a 3-game Swiss everyone's going to be kind of re-pooled into little Swiss rounds. You know, and if you win 3 game in the magma pool, there's a magma play-in where the top 3 move on to table stages. If you have 2 wins from the Swiss stage, you go into another round play-in that has a top 3. Everyone who didn't get into the top 3 from the first play-in goes into the second play-in. So there's 2 different opportunities to play in if you don't sweep through your Swiss round in magma pool. Hook route's a little bit more difficult. So hook route, very similar. You have 3 game Swiss rounds. If you win the 3 games in hook pool, you have another hook pool play-in, but only that race winner, not the top 3, all move on into the table stage. All the non-winners from that hook pool then go on to the hook pool play-in 2, which also includes all the 2-win players from the hook Swiss rounds. That race is going to be massive. And that race, only the winner of that one will advance to the table stages. So only 2 runners from the entire hook stage will advance. 6 total from the magma pool will eventually end up moving on. So kind of last chance at that point in time for all of those.
Well, that was very well done. Yeah, so we'll end up, I believe, with right around 32 runners into the table by the end of everything that you just described. And then as you said, it's just going to continue to get more and more real for the next several weeks.
No, absolutely.
And we have Mageius is 1 key item from Go mode. So we saw them go down and check the Luca cave. There's Dwarf Castle will give the pass, and it looks like they are stocking up on levels for some particular play here. Potentially just wanting them now that you're here to go to Zeromus.
Well, this might be a play, you know, after a certain point, once you're past a 15-minute mark where you know you look down and you do see that your opponent has won, at some point you just want to grind up into power overwhelming to say we're just gonna take all of our frustrations for the seed out on Zeromus and call it a night at that point. Just level up to the point where it's embarrassing.
Yeah, power overwhelming is power overwhelming. And it looks like Mageius' plan is power overwhelming. And with that collection of sirens, you can get as much XP as you were looking for. And that edge just doing almost enough damage to get through those eggs. Not going to have to worry about taking any attacks from the hatched yellow dragon, but 1800 is what you need to complete them in one hit. But it looks like decided that's enough power for me right now.
Yeah, it looks like Mageius is actually going to go do his dwarf check, which means he will be on his way.
Yeah, may have just been unfamiliar with the warp glitch, but did basically take a save and reset on that, and it was just in XCal, so the overall the time spent on that walk is pretty negligible. One last shop check, and let's see. Should be okay. So we are right there as far as being ready to have one more chance at Jelly Miss. And to having asked the recap question, let me go ahead and pull up. We've had 4 restreams today. We have been restreaming at quite the clip, and we will be back at it again tomorrow. We have 2 races at 8 that will be restreamed, a race at 8:30 and a race at 9. Slippery and Cassidy will be one of the 2 races at 8 with Natara and Dijon Ketchup doing the commentary. That will be on Randomania, some Randomania. On some other Randomania, we'll have Zyrak and Logos Ethos Pathos at 8:30 on hopefully one of the other Randomania channels, not Randomania 8, because I'm reserving that for some race that I want to do on Randomania 8. Will be Antidale and Forsyth, and Actual JP and Summoning Sea Pepper will be on at 9 on the Free Enterprise channel. So follow all 8 of the Randomanias. There's great content everywhere. They are a fantastic partner for us, as well as the Free Enterprise, our main channel. If you're enjoying yourselves and you want to see race after race after race for the next several weeks.
I mean, there's still a lot of Threemus Zone left to play. And I got to tell you, 6 people from the Magna Seed playing in eventually into the group stages. That's going to be pretty hype, all things said. But of all the people, I mean, just think about this. Only 2 runners from the Hook Seed, and it's everyone who went 1 and 2 or 0 and 3. That's a lot of folks that are all vying for only 2 table spots. I honestly think the Hook route is going to be just your source for lots of fantastic gambly sort of play, because you really have to stand out and win those races at that point in time.
But yeah, the Hook route is going to be our Royal Rumble, as it were, for getting into the final 2 available slots. The Swiss rounds, the group races in those are going to be just absolutely chock full of entertainment. I can't wait to be able to watch them, and I'm looking forward to being able to stake out some more competition for this table group.
See, we can tell which group both of us are in, because I'm in Hook. I'm one of those poor 0 and 3 folks who's going on a prayer, man. I'm just happy to be part of the show.
Oh, I think I've done 3 practice seeds for the table races, and my current best time is about 2.5 hours. So I'm thinking there's some fat I could probably trim off of those. So I won't mind having the extra opportunity practice. That being said, it's so exciting to get to watch all of these races. I'm almost jealous that people get to keep racing, and I'm up here in the booth talking about it. But it is a little less stress than, as you mentioned, the Hook route in particular is just the sharks all circling each other.
And there's in the Hook, I mean, the Hook is really dangerous. I mean, there's some really kind of very well-known names that are already slotted to be in the hook route. Just throwing some names out there. Big Dunka, one of the creators of a very popular tracker used throughout the free enterprise community. Commander Leonhardt, one of the top commentators in our community out there. Kind of nerdy housewife, KNH, doing all sorts of work behind the scenes, very well known in the community as well. Korek. I feel like I need to list everyone here because everyone's kind of is capable at this point, and only 2 people out of this group get to advance, and we're not even done yet advancing names. It's scary right now.
Both of those groups have people who made the top 32, the top 16 even of our last tournament. It's not going to get any easier for anybody. Going 2-1 puts you in a tough spot. Going 1-2 or 0-3 puts you in an equally potentially difficult spot. And then, as you said, once you get into the table, there's certainly not anybody that you're hoping to be matched up against. And Mageius, I believe, is shopped up. They were looking for potentially for the Threemus fight. Pass in hand, magma key down the well. Maybe. It looks like potentially headed over to the pass door first.
Nope. Just like, oh yeah, very similar to what Min did. Started flying off and said, oh wait, I actually have to turn this in.
And that is one bonus button for Gambit 17. This is the thing when you have all of these go to this place, push the button, you don't have to actually complete anything, is you start to forget where it is you actually needed to go to do it. Or I've gone down to the underground saying, here it is, I just got to open this Luca door, I'll do 3 eggs, and then I leave and I forget about opening the door to begin with. But at least the pass door one is your direct access to Threemus, so that one's tough to avoid.
Opens the pass, and Mageius at 217.49 is rewarded with his crystal. All right. He's on his way to kick Jellymus's butt.
From what I could see, and with those bonus eggs at 10 key items, giving out 60-some thousand experience a pop, should be hitting Jellymus pretty hard. Jellymus is gonna be jiggling all over the place on top of those shakes. And for all of the beauty, all the beauty of Asuka's seed here, managed to see our runners complete every single objective on multiple occasions besides that twin harp.
Feels bad, man. I want to know. I really want to know what the music is. That's the only thing I want to know from this beauty of a seed. Like, is the music worth it? Is it something just absolutely fantastic?
Well, I've only heard fantastic songs out of the music, but I don't think we're gonna get the opportunity to find out. If you got to choose a song, Batasia, what are your favorite in the pool?
Classic of anything from the wonderful Mr. Nobuo Uematsu anyway. I love from Xanarkin, from Final Fantasy X in this rendition. That's just one of my favorite harp songs. Absolutely, but also the I think the Kefka theme as well is one of my favorites. So I like hearing any of those.
Definitely all great songs. I'm pretty partial to some of the Final Fantasy VII songs, the Aeris themes. Just because as much as Final Fantasy IV was a big Final Fantasy game for me, Final Fantasy VII, that music in particular has always been in my head.
Yeah, he wanted the. Well, looks like he wanted to set up Avenger, but he didn't quite have it up. So interesting.
Yeah.
There. I will say, there is one song that I do not like hearing when I hit the harp, and that's the Culex fight from Mario RPG, because it's just a remix of the fights from Final Fantasy IV, just in harp form. I'm like, come on, that feels cheap.
That is also a valid point. I'm not sure if there are any songs I have that strong of an opinion on, but I don't think I've ever played that game, so I can't say. I probably, if I've heard it, I just assumed it was from Final Fantasy IV. Scala appears to disagree, but Scala has also brought up that our Restream team, it has some potential bonuses. There are also some other opportunities. Seeing how well you explained that, are you familiar with the other ways you might be able to get a song or a sprite put into their respective pools outside of winning the tournament?
I was completely unaware that was even something that was out there.
Ah. Well, it's a much less complicated flowchart, and if I get something wrong, maybe Scala can correct me. Or we'll just allow Scala to explain it in chat. At least the restream aspect. There will also be for the bracket phase, which I believe will be the top 16 of the tournament. Whoever correctly guesses the most, or whoever has the most accurate bracket prediction, once we've reached that phase, we'll have the opportunity to add, I don't recall which, but either a song or a Z-Sprite to the pool. But several of the top volunteers throughout the tournament and top restreamers, as far as the amount of races that you've been able to put forward, will have a raffle. And that will allow you to potentially contribute to the pool as well. So we are always looking for the next generation of restreamers, trackers, commentators. It's a great little sub community within. So feel free to contact someone. There's a form, and then you can be out here talking or pushing the buttons or rolling these seeds.
And hey, if you're out there in the internet and just kind of randomly stumbled across us and have been tuning in this entire time, welcome. Please feel free to join us over on our Discord for all of the information about Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, how to get things set up. We have newbie corners to be able to help you get set up, and how to really get things going on your end, so you can play this wonderful, wonderful randomizer at home. Also, feel free to ask us questions and join us in the conversation that happens every day in our Discord. I imagine once the tournament is over, we'll resume eventually community races and things of that nature. Although there's always just pickup races going on in the Discord. So what are you waiting for? Come join us over in the Discord.
Yeah, we have pickup races. We have links too for however many races we do manage to get everyone together to restream. There are always, just given the number of races, there are always races that we put up on a multi. We have channels where we discuss the races that are going on. We have our restream. We have, our newbies corner. And when we're not in the midst of a tournament, we do have weekly community races as well, as you mentioned, Vitasia. Doesn't look like we're going to get another version of the Quint Zerk here. But we do have Tella there in his natural state.
And I mean, Mageius is making good use. He's held on to that spoon for the entire time, so said, why not?
Got a spoon, you got an X-Cal, you've got a Cecil with 4,000 hit points. Even got a nerfed Big Bang. That spoon's still gonna make it. 46 hit points for that edge. Gonna get the dart that spoon. And my guess is we're getting real close to seeing rocks fall here.
I mean, that's a lot of damage being pumped out in a short amount of time. And yeah, I mean, he's thrown a spoon, an X-Cal, a Dragoon Lance, and now he's getting ready to chuck a Defense Sword. That's a ton of damage, all very, very short amount of time. And he's got Ninja Stars, by the way.
Yeah, and worst case, he can just take off both of his shoes, give those a chuck. Wow, those are hitting for 5k. This is some solid damage from this. And that Rose is at no risk of going down to a Big Bang.
Black Hole goes out, but guess what? The only one who zerked is Cecil with an Avenger, so he's not going anywhere.
Rocks fall just in time. It looks like we were down to the short swords. So I think the edges might get to keep their shoes for the end of the race, but I don't think it's too early to say that this is going to be GG for Mageius as well.
Oh, direct cast white.
Oh, this is it. This is the flash. Guaranteed. The swag white cast for the win, or for the end, for the destruction of Jellymiss. And that completes Mageius' run at 2:28.09, and I believed we were being joined. GG.
GG, y'all. Give me 1 second because you guys are way too loud on my end, so give me 1 sec. Okay, there we go. Much better.
Well, take us through how you felt about that. How you felt about that seed, what your thought process was. There's certainly a lot of checks leading to a lot more checks leading to a lot more checks to get what you needed there.
I mean, I'm a little out of practice when it comes to Final Fantasy IV. I've been doing a lot of Final Fantasy I randomizers, so a few mistakes here and there. I completely forgot. Tella has Warp, well, not one, but as I said in the race channel before this all started, Cecil start, and we gotta force the Bristol anyway, pass, it's just like, gotta force X-Cal anyway, it's like, okay, that's gonna be the goals. It's just like, you saw the goals. It's like, that's, I mean, what would your initial thought process be if you saw goals like that?
I mean, I think both of us thought the potential for it to be very fast was there. And we were kind of hoping it was going to be really fast for your guys' sake. And yeah, this was not the case.
I mean, the one or two times I personally thought about just, hell, when I saw, God, I'm trying to think, what locations didn't you check? Did you check Tower?
I believe Tower was the one play that you didn't make. We saw our runner check Tower, and the Tower key, they were both swords for Edge in the Tower.
Wow. I mean, I had the Tower key. God, I forget where I got it, but with the options that, were there, it's like, I went to the moon. By that point, I had 2 edges, Sword Mitella, and I'm glad I held on to that one. It's like, unless someone checks the robots, I didn't see another Black Mage.
There wasn't a black
There-
mage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just glad I held on to them. It's like, by the time we got to, like, another edge for the 3rd edge, and, I thought about taking up Kane, after Baron, just because, well, I had a Dragoon Lance, I could probably do that one. It's like, but do I want to actually do that and leave myself without it? But figured, and by the way, I have to say, whenever you got an edge, if you have a crap load of money, especially with these type of flags, if you have enough money and you found a good supply of great weapons, just buy them out. Just waste all of your money, buy it out, and that way you can actually add in some extra damage.
Yeah, we were discussing
Okay,
that
so
at the
we're done.
beginning of the seed. Edge is great, particularly if you can afford to equip Edge the way that you can to maximize that damage output, because the short swords are only going to last you so long.
I completely forgot someone has the ability to cast.
Let me think. It's we did see that one reset. Was that just the Avenger sword, the two-handed, and you
Yeah.
did have to have that shield?
I completely forgot on that one. It's just like, okay, go back, figure out that one. But at the same point, it's like, one thing I've learned, for all the times I've played, a lot of the different Final Fantasies, especially with 4, if you got someone that can toss weapons and you have money before entering the final battle, if you buy a weapon shop, buy whatever the highest damage dealing weapon you've got that can be tossed, because it's your backup damage. I mean, if you don't think you'll be over like 2k damage with an edge, grab some swords. I mean, you clearly saw how much damage I was doing.
It is.
Yeah, you ended up throwing about 8 things there at the end. Vitasia?
No, I mean, we were commenting. You had a ton of stuff to throw, and it just melted Z there at the end.
I mean, as I said, it's one of those things. It's just like, most people will think, yeah, let's toss what we have in inventory, but it's just like, by the end game, it's just like, if you have like so much money, I mean, GP rain is not until 5, so you can't just hurl it on an enemy. But the closest you can do, grab some weapons.
So this is your first race, so 2 wins will put you into the Magger group. Otherwise, you have the Hook group, so plenty more races to come. And I believe you did offer one final bonus check for us at the end of this seed.
I did. I won't spoil it for y'all. But, as I said, I just like having fun. And, heck, at some point I've got to learn to provide commentary on FF or, FE. I mean, I already provided on FF1, so, if you could see me in real life right now, I'd just be struggling, because it's just like, don't mind helping where I can.
Well, we're always happy to have you. We think you're making your way over there now. So do you have any final thoughts?
It was fun. I wish this hadn't been a D-Rust race, but it's the whole fact of I still did okay on that one, and with the way the flags are, it's just like, it's just like the old, standby of just egg grinds if you've got the sirens for it, or just, other stuff like that. I mean, a lot of the newer things, just like, it's still the old same, FF4, FE, so still fun.
Oh, thanks for letting us watch. Thank you for the music. I think we're gonna give that a listen, and best of luck to you in the rest of your races.
Thank you. I'm gonna try to at least have some more fun on that one. In fact, I'm probably after this gonna, once I'm done streaming, immediately go roll a crap load of seeds and just see all the different music that's been added.
Sounds good. Well, take care. Thanks again.
Yeah, same. GG's again. I forgot someone has warp.
Well, thank you once again to both of our runners, Min and Mageius1. If you guys like what you saw from them, please remember, give them a follow here on Twitch. Also, one last shout out to our wonderful tracker, Gambit017, and our free streamer, Suka424, doing all the work behind the scenes, making us look good. One last time, make sure to follow all of our partner channels, Randomania 1 through 8, RPG Limit Break, and also the Home Free Enterprise channel. And last but certainly not least, my wonderful co-commentator, PK4787. Always a pleasure working with you, man.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Vitasia, as well, for joining us and to our tracker and restreamer. I believe we are going to be sending everyone over to another member of our community, Gundam. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and there'll be plenty more to come.